Wow, wow, wow. Danny Garcia just knocked Daniel Gonzalez spark out in the very fourth round. The very fourth round. We're in the fourth round. Um, Good performance from Danny Garcia. Look, what in the bloody hell was that size difference though? He was massive compared to Gonzalez. Gonzalez in the first round got rocked the moment Danny Garcia actually bloody touched him. The size difference was more than apparent in there. More than apparent. It was huge. But fair play to Gonzalez for getting in there with him with that massive size difference and moving up basically what, two weight classes for this fight. Like Gonzalez looked like, he's like naturally like 140 or something, I think. And the fight was at 154. Like, yeah, like Jesus Christ. Honestly, massive weight difference. And Danny Garcia knocked Gonzalez spark out in the fourth. Gonzalez basically rolled his ankle as well, broke it, possibly, yeah, brutal stuff from Danny Garcia. And that might not be farewell, no matter what Danny Garcia says to us. That might not be a Danny Garcia farewell. It's hard to give it up once you've done something like that. But again, thing is, Danny Garcia did exactly what he had to do. First two rounds, he was just looking for the big shots. Third round, he got back onto the jab. Fourth round was basically just one and done. Um, I think, you know, is he a world level operator now? No. We saw it in the Lara fight, and just because he beat a guy who is naturally about 15 pounds bigger than, um, doesn't mean that, he is suddenly back and at the top. Gonzalez hasn't really done anything in his career either. So we can't say, oh, Danny Garcia's really back at the top level. I would like to see him retire on that, definitely. I mean, that was the original plan. Whether he does or not, I don't know. Um, that's the thing. I don't even know what's going to happen. No matter if he says, oh, yeah, that was my last one. You know, you just don't know. You just don't know. You can't really trust it at all. He's going to want to fight again. By the way, I'm saying this when I haven't actually seen the post-fight interview. I'm recording this straight after the fight's ended. Um, but yeah, I can't get over the size difference. That shows why there is weight classes for a reason in boxing. And I was talking about that in a video the other day. What Jake and Tank, that bloody fight happening, that there's weight classes for a reason. And that fight between Danny Garcia and Daniel Gonzalez just showed a prime example of why that is. But yeah, fair play to Gonzalez for actually making the weight, and it was a huge opportunity for him. He got it, fair play, but he got paid. Um, but yeah, look, with Danny Garcia, I'm happy he got the win, definitely, no matter what the size difference was. I'm happy he got the win. It was a brutal KO as well, and it's something that is good to go out on. But again, if he does fight again, you can't trust him around guys like Arislandi Lara. You can't then put him in with like Yanni Beck or anyone. You can't put him in with Carlos Adames. I wouldn't even put Danny Garcia in there with Eubank Jr. at this point. That's me being honest. I wouldn't. Again, he looks slower than usual. Obviously, he's not in his prime anymore, and I think that was clear to see. He beat up on a guy who's much smaller than him, so it's hard to really say. But I think you can still base him off of the Arislandi Lara fight because nothing was coming really back from him from Daniel Gonzalez. I mean, Daniel Gonzalez was pretty jittery in there, looked pretty awkward, looked pretty uncomfortable the moment Garcia connected, though. The moment Danny Garcia connected, Gonzalez looked pretty uncomfortable in there, and that's because he's getting hit by a guy a lot heavier than him, so it's hard to really base Danny Garcia off. But again, it was meant to be a retirement fight anyway, so it's fine. It's fine. If he is keeping his word and he is retiring, which he's got to, you know, that's all fine with me because he doesn't need to get matched next. And we don't need to talk about the future. We don't need to fully base him off it. We can just say, oh, yeah, there we go. Danny Garcia's ended his career on a high with a brutal one punch knockout in the fourth round. You know, it doesn't, the whole context behind it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that Daniel Gonzalez isn't the best of names. It doesn't matter that he hasn't really fought anyone. It doesn't matter that he was about 20 pounds lighter. You know, it doesn't matter. Danny Garcia's ended his career on a high, and he deserves to. He deserves to because he's entertained, you know, every single boxing fan over the years. Oh, like, you know, he's always been in entertaining fights. He always brings the fire, and that's what, as boxing fans, we want and need to see in the sport. And he's got a perfect style for it. Who's, again, always in a great fight, always brings it no matter what. And in his prime, he was a massive power puncher, as we know. You know, he you know, he had big power. I think, what's that now? 22 knockouts at 38. You know, again, he had big power, especially in those prime years of his. And that is what we saw tonight. I was saying in the build up to it, look, I want to see at least a little bit of prime Danny Garcia. And well, we got it there with a one punch knockout, which was really well set up with that hook. Really, really, really well set up. Um, so I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. It was a nice ending. It was a good ending to the fight. A very nice shot. Could that be a contender for KO of the year? I think it was really well set up. Made Gonzalez break his ankle in the bloody process of it. Um, it was brutal. It was proper bloody brutal, to be honest. Um, but yeah, look, if Danny Garcia is to fight again, if he is to fight again, then I don't know who he even would fight. But again, you can't put him up against real top level guys because it wouldn't go well for him. But it just wouldn't surprise me. It might not be a farewell, not so much of a farewell. Or, you know, it might just be, he might just say, oh, yeah, it's just a farewell to Brooklyn. It's not a farewell to boxing. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching.